5 years ago, we lived here in the city. Our house was a 2,600 square foot home in an older neighborhood 2 miles from downtown Concord. It had 4 spacious bedrooms, full kitchen, living room, and 2-car garage. And this was the place where we started our first family garden. And then from here, we moved to out here in the country to live here. Greetings and welcome to our home. I'm Mike the Fit Farmer and this is my wife Lacie, and we live here with our 3 kids. And this house, yes, we live here, is called a yurt. And traditionally, yurts, also called gurs, were round tent-like structures that were covered with animal hides or felt, and they were designed to be moved from location to location. And they were created by nomadic tribes in Central Asia and Ukraine and Russia, and they would oftentimes follow the herds as they migrated in different areas. And these structures are made with bamboo or wood lattice in a circular form with rafters and a door. But why in the world do we live in this glorified tent, as I like to call it? Why do we live in a yurt? Well, to give you the reasons on why we chose to live in a yurt, you kind of need to know a little bit about our story. You saw earlier that we used to live in the city, so we left city life and started a farm out here in the country. And starting a farm was the main reason together, the blanket reason. And we wanted to do that so that way we could live a life that was more connected to the natural world around us, more connected to each other, and actually know the story behind our food is growing food and providing healthier food for us. But the main reason we decided to live in a yurt, buy a yurt, to help facilitate that dream and that goal was because of financially. It was one of the most financially affordable options that we could find.
And there's a number of companies here in the US that build yurts. Blue Ridge Yurts is one, they're in Virginia. Fortress Yurts is another, and also Pacific Yurts is out on the West Coast, Pacific Yurts. But there's other companies out there as well.
And with yurts, there are different sizes. You can go with the 12-foot diameter yurt all the way up into 40 feet. And depending on the size will depend on the price that you're going to pay, as well as where you purchase your yurt from. Some companies such as Blue Ridge Yurts as well as Fortress Yurts really have some more affordable ones. But you really can spend anywhere from $7,500 for a yurt all the way up to $40,000 or more.
I had jokingly mentioned to Mike several times, you know, we should live in a yurt, because I always see the advertisements in like Mother Earth News, and I think he thought I was maybe a little crazy. But one day while he was at work and I was at home, I got on Craigslist and I thought, you know, let's just search for yurts. So I did a search, and what do you know? Less than 2 hours away, there was a yurt for sale on Craigslist.
And we bought our yurt from someone off Craigslist because it was a fantastic deal that we absolutely could not turn down.
So yes, we bought our house off Craigslist.
Maybe that's the title right there.
That would be a good title right there.
We bought our yurt, as far as most of the materials, for $8,000, and then a number of the other items and hiring out an electrician and some of the other things. It cost us about $25,000 to $30,000 all around to get set up with our yurt, and that was a really cost-effective way for us to get started. And we actually used our line of credit from our previous house to use that to pay for our yurt as well as the farm truck. So that enabled us to set up our yurt without having any debt, and that's one of our goals, is to try to be as debt-free as we can. It was a really nice deal that we were able to work that out.
Yeah.
And between purchasing our yurt and actually coming to the point of living in it, it was about an 18 to 24 month period. And that's a story for another day, but we've also had a lot of problems along the way of that. So if you want to know more about some of those issues, make sure you check out our vlog about the problems we've had with living in a yurt. And the second reason why we decided to live in a yurt was for mobility, movability, something like that.
Yeah.
The land that we set our yurt up on is property that is actually owned by my mother and father-in-law, Lacie's parents, and they allowed us to set up a farm and homestead here. But originally we had the thoughts and dreams of maybe having a forever place, and we thought that since the yurts are movable, you can take them down and set them up fairly easy compared to some of the other construction out there. We thought that we would be able to do the same. Well, so that was one of the reasons why, but as the process went along and we had to meet a number of building codes, our yurt has become more of a permanent structure than a temporary structure.
If we really wanted to, we could take it down, but it just requires a lot more work. And you know, if we had to, we could.
Yeah. But there was a number of things that we had to do to make the structure more permanent to meet the building codes in our area. Some of you out there, you may not have to deal with that in your area. You can maybe even put your yurt on have it with a dirt floor. I don't know, some people do that, and the nomadic tribes did that before, but we had to really go through setting up the footing and the columns and pillars and a number of other things to meet the building codes for our yurt. So it really wouldn't be easily movable.
Yeah.
And the third reason why we chose to live in a yurt was because it was the easiest building option that we had available to us. Some people say, oh, you could have built a house cheaper than that. And I am not a construction worker, and as I've gone through this process, I've learned that construction isn't my favorite thing, and I would not want to try to take on building a real house or a traditional house on my own. And like we were talking about earlier, we were looking at this from a cost standpoint, so we knew that if we were going to build a more traditional house, it was going to cost us even more money, and we were not looking to do that.
Yeah.
So for those of you who may be like me and you don't have a lot of building construction background, a yurt could be a good option for you. And I do want to mention that there's a lot of craze around the tiny house movement right now, and those people interested in building a tiny house, but you can actually build a tiny house to be really expensive, so make sure you watch out for that. I've seen tiny houses that you could easily have built a traditional house,
like $80,000, $100,000.
Yeah, for a house that you could probably build 2 to 3 times bigger and have a traditional house. And so just something to keep in mind there. That's just a little tip there. And one of the questions we get asked frequently is, would we do it again? If we had to go back in time, would we choose to live in a yurt again? And for me, I can say the answer is yes. What about you?
Yeah.
Had a little suspension going there, or little drama, suspension.
Suspense.
Oh man. So I would definitely live in a yurt again, so we definitely would.
Yes.
And but there's some things that we would do differently, and as we have learned along the way and hopefully gained knowledge and experience, that looking back we would make a couple different choices. However, the overall choice of living in a yurt would still be the same. One thing that we would do differently is I would build a deck first with underpinning around the deck part where the yurt is going to sit, and set the yurt on the deck. Yes. That'd be one thing I would do different.
I would definitely do a big deck, and that way you already have your porch included and everything. And because ours is just sitting on pillars, and then our floor sits on that, and we have no deck, it just steps up. So a deck would be fantastic.
Yeah. And I could say overall, I feel pretty confident in the layout and comfortable with the layout that we did internally. So I'm definitely happy about that. And And speaking of that, if any of you are thinking about or have any questions about our yurt life, please let us know in the comment section below. And I'd really like to hear from people who may be thinking about considering actually living in a yurt. There's a lot of things and advice and things that I feel like we could share with you on that. And now that we've been here 5 years, there's a couple things that we want to upgrade / renovate. Let's show you some of those things. So one of the first things I want to change is actually have some hard, real external walls here. This is canvas here, so we want to upgrade from that. But within that upgrade, I also want to actually do real windows. And with a lot of the older yurt packages, they had Velcro windows. So your windows here are just Velcroed right on there. So it's quite the pain when it started to rain and we'd have your windows up and you had to run outside because rain would start coming in. You got to make sure your Velcro windows on. You couldn't just be on the inside and pull it down. So that is something I definitely want to change and plan to do here. So it just kind of gives you an idea what you're working with a yurt. So,
and here, this gives you a little bit better idea of what they're like. And our windows are old, so the Velcro is actually about gone anyway. But right here.
And then another thing that we would change would be the underpinning. We've kind of started the underpinning right here, as you can see under the yurt, but it's not wrapped around all the way. And I'm actually thinking of building a deck. I know it would have been easier to build a deck to begin with, but we're going to try to do that as well as underpinning. That would just help keep the temperature even more controlled inside the house and just make it look better too, and don't have to worry about anything going under your house. So you said you had some things that we want to work on and upgrade inside the house, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And one thing that I really want to change is the flooring. So we've had tongue groove plywood flooring since we moved in, but I would really like to upgrade to maybe, I don't know necessarily hardwood, but something that's a little easier to clean and take care of.
And as you can see here, we've had quite a bit of traffic flow through here, so it's slowly kind of wearing away at the wood. So that would be an upgrade that would definitely make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. So what about you, Selah? What would be something that you would want to change?
Come on, I'll show you. I'd make 3 bunk beds here, so Michael could have one too.
So right now, Selah and Josiah sleep here on the bunk beds, and Micah has been in the bedroom with us, but it's time to upgrade that, and so that way Micah can be over here too. So that'll be a project that I want to work on probably in the fall or winter. Things slow down outside, come out here and make a 3rd bunk bed. So that would actually make it where you're higher up on the bunk bed, Selah. So you'd be like right up there. So that'd be pretty cool. You just keep wanting to move up higher and higher, don't you? So we'll definitely have to see about that project too.
And another thing that I would like to change would be, one thing would be the countertops. Our countertops right here are actually plywood that we used that was just left over from the flooring, and at the time that's just what we had, so that's what we used. But I would like to kind of upgrade those, maybe to some butcher block or something like that. And I would love to add a tile backsplash back here behind the sink, and also behind the cooktop as well, and maybe paint the cabinets to something like that. I don't know exactly. I'm still kind of figuring everything out, but those are some things that I would like to change.
So ladies and kitchen renovation kind of go hand in hand, almost like with HGTV too, right?
The first time I didn't even see her face and I was laughing.
I can't say anything. I like to change things up sometimes too.
Sometimes? Not just sometimes. How many times have we redone the garden?
Oh no.
Quite a number of times. Change is good sometimes. Change is good.
Yeah.
Routine's good too.
So it's not all me. Not all me.
Laugh it up over there. And I mentioned about changing the exterior wall outside. We also want to change the interior as well. And right now we just have the lattice. You can see the lattice here. And this is the insulation with the covering over the insulation. But we've also talked about going around the interior of the yurt with wood. It was an idea that Lacie had actually tossed around beforehand. So that's something we would like to do as well. And it would just make things look a little bit neater as well.
And easier to clean too. With having the lattice, It's just hard to clean because you have to wipe down every single one, and just having a flat wall would help things out a lot.
And I also talked about changing and having real windows in here. With us having the central AC right now, we have to close the windows up just because it really helps to keep the air in that we're trying to keep air in here to keep it cool. Once we're able to upgrade to the real windows, we'll be able to let some more natural lighting in. Right now, the main natural lighting that comes in through the yurt is through the front door, as well as a little bit, well, kind of a lot, through the dome up top there. So that would be something we would do to increase natural lighting in here as well. So can you think of any more ideas of projects that we want to do? The list is getting pretty lengthy already.
I'm sure I can probably think of more.
Yeah, all I had to do is watch HGTV. Whenever we watch one of those shows, it just makes you feel like you need to renovate everything. It's just like, let's just do everything over again. Hey guys, hey. Whoa, that's quite the entrance there. Whoa.
Are you breakdancing?
Whoa. So guys, let's calm it down. So Josiah, what would be something you would change about our yurt?
The windows.
The windows? You want real windows too?
I want a window too.
You do? Whoa.
Window.
You might just jump right out the window like that. We might have to watch that. Whoa, ninja style. And another question that we often get asked is, what about space and your family growing and getting bigger? Well, you can actually add an additional yurt to this yurt. You can connect them together. That's a possibility. You never know, we might do that in the future, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Also stay tuned, because we plan to share some of these renovation projects once we start them with you all. Well, I think that's a wrap for this video. What about you?
I think so.
Call it a wrap. If any of you have any questions about yurt living, please let us know in the comment section below. Could you live in a yurt? Let us know down there too.
Oh, one more thing. We're going to be speaking about yurt living at Homesteaders of America in October on the 11th.
And also, this is your last week to get discounts on the tickets. They're 25% off.
I think so.
Just for July. So if you haven't gotten them yet, hurry up. July's almost over with. That's it for today. We'll see you next time, and grow on.
Bye.
All right. And what are some? And there's some. No.
Are you okay?
Yeah. So, ladies and kitchen renovation, it almost seems like it goes hand in hand.
You don't want to see the look that I'm giving him, because he wants to change a lot of stuff too. So don't let him fool you that it's just me, because it's not.
Change
just me.
Sometime.
You're running away. You're running away.
I'm here. I'm still here.
What else?
I thought you were going to go into the walls next. I was just trying to add some humor to keep it interesting.